Needs to have a blog. Not everybody needs to have a YouTube channel, but maybe you do. Maybe it does fit your work. So here's the key though. So we now have the tools that can do what I call pushing power out to the edges, right? But the only way to push power out to the edges is to let go. You can't control everything about your organization and let go at the same time. It simply isn't physically possible to do that. And this is very hard. It's very hard for people like me who were taught in graduate school that staff people design communications plans and strategic plans. We're very big on plans. And then other people implement them and volunteers participate in them. The world doesn't actually work that way anymore. And there are two sticking points for this. The sticking areas that are most difficult are communications. When you want to keep people on message, there is no more on message. Everybody is a messenger. Everybody is a creator of messages, right? And the other is the problem. We have a problem in this room. And I'm guessing everybody, just about everybody here has that problem. You probably have this problem, and I'm guessing you have this problem too. Maybe you haven't. And that is, you have to make payroll, right? I ran a nonprofit for 12 years. There's a reason why I don't run a nonprofit anymore. I don't really want to have your problem anymore. But I feel for you, because I know what it feels like to have to make payroll every 2 weeks, every month, every year. Nothing is more difficult than that, particularly in such a resource-poor, capital-poor sector as what we have. But we need to begin to change. We need to stop treating people like ATM machines. You know that feeling when you give a group, say, $25, and the immediate reaction is a request for more money, and a request for more money, and come to this event, and all of a sudden you feel like you're just in their fundraising database. They don't care about you. They're not interested in what you bring. And think about it. You know, we've come so far in institutionalizing some nonprofits, and we have our silos. We've got our fundraising division here, and our programs there, and our finance and bookkeeping over here, and everybody has their databases of people that are generally pretty separate. And if you fall into the fundraising database as a donor, you can't hardly ever get out again, right? The rest of your life, you're going to be getting those monthly or biannual requests for that $25, but they want to step you up to $35, it's $100. You can't get out. It's a nightmare. But you still have your problem. I haven't fixed your problem. You have to make payroll. So what are we going to do about this problem? The first thing is we need to begin to understand that this century is not last century, that we don't control or own our members and our donors. They have lots and lots of choices. And again, back to the millennials. Those millennials, those young people, are not institutionally loyal. This is very important for us to understand. This is very important for United Ways to understand. They are not going to be lifelong donors to United Way. They'll come in and they'll donate when there's a big disaster. You know, they're very generous, they're very idealistic, but they don't really care about United Way of America. They do care about housing and hunger and homelessness and issues. But they will go to the cause and the campaign and the institution on an as-needed basis. So you need to understand, in running these institutions, that your best bet for survival, and it might not be today we're talking about survival, but certainly in 10 years and 20 years, is you have to change that relationship with these constituents and understand that they have choices, that they have passions, that they have skills that they can bring to your effort. You have to allow people multiple access points into your cause, which in addition to being scary, and I understand it's scary, is also a wonderful test for your cause and for your institution. Do you have broad public support? You remember there's that 1023 form with the IRS. You fill out to get a C3. And there's a public support test you're supposed to be passing where money is coming from to support your issue. Well, this is a new public support test. Do you have a constituency of people broad enough to sustain your efforts? Because going after that $50,000 grant, that $100,000 grant, it might work for a year, it might work for 2 years. It's not sustainable. Sustainable is a broad base of people who participate, who think about your issues, who care about your issues, and who end up being donors for your issues and your causes as well. And here's where we come to social networks. So since I wrote the book, the biggest change has been the explosion of the social networking sites, MySpace and Facebook in particular. Facebook has, I think it's upwards of 64 million members today, which is astonishing. It's opened up beyond students and has grown-ups on it as well. And here's the future of social change. As I mentioned in the beginning, social change has always happened through social networks. I care about a cause, I tell you about it, you tell your sister about it, she tells her neighbor about it. Now we have the tools, the social media tools, where I can tell you all at one time, at no extra cost, through email or a listserv. And you all can tell your friends about it. And that is a geometric leap in the number of people who can become connected to your cause and ultimately to your institution as well. We need to understand these social networking sites. They're not going away. They're very important. They're particularly important to younger people. And we need to figure out how to energize our causes by working through these networks. But let me caution you. There is a great big BS meter on these sites, right? We're back to Web 1.0 when you were broadcasting, and before that, when you were broadcasting information out. Now again, because we became very institutional and fundraising became very professional, we hired people who could write grant proposals. I was one of those at one time. And you were selling something to a funder who you hope maybe, I'm not saying anyone in this room did it, but you might hope that that funder didn't poke too hard anywhere that might be held up